Hey, welcome back, guys. All right, so continuing on our course here, let me click one of these courses. We need to now save information in these bad boys here. So from our last video, we saw that we could collect all the information as needed from in here. So all we need to do is save it. Now, the best way to save this information is because this is one-to-many relationship. That's what we have here. And what I mean by that is that one course can have multiple inputs here, and we can even add extra inputs here if we wanted to. So we can't put this information in the same row as the rest of this information, because if we go to course landing page, you will notice that there's only one title for this course, one subtitle, one description, one language, etc., etc., right? So this is all good. We can put all this in one row, but the problem with this section is that we can have many of these. We would not know if a user is going to add 20 of these also. And so we can't put 20 extra columns just in case. That doesn't work very well. So what we do instead is we create another table that will contain this information. Now, luckily for us, we already created a courses meta table right here. So this is the table, and it contains a course ID, a data type, and then value. So let me show you how these will work together to add information. So for example, because the importance here is that if we add information to the table, we should be able to read it back and put it back exactly where it was when we saved it. So that's what we're trying to do here. So it's important, identity is important here to know which section the information came from, because there are multiple sections here. We should know, did it come from here or did it come from there? And not only that, what course does it belong to as well? So that's important. So in this case, what we do, let's say we have each section here has a name. This one is students learn, that's what we named it. This one is prerequisites, that's what we named it. And this one is whose course, that's what we named it. So with those, we're going to put those in as data types, right? We'll call them data types and put them there so that we identify where each piece of information came from. So also, let me create a new file here for explanation purposes. Let's say we have a course. So in the course table, we have an ID and we have a course title, for example, and then etc., etc., right? Maybe the date. So this one is the course table, right? But then when we have the course meta table like this, here we have an ID, and then we have a course ID, and then we have data type as well. Why do I keep typing that F? Data type, and then we have, what else do we have? We have a value for that data, and then we have disabled. So how does this work? So let's say, for example, here we have a course of ID number 4, and then its title is maybe my course, and then there's a date there. So when we have information, let's say, let me come back here. Let's say we have information on this section, right? So what we want to do here is save, first of all, the course ID. So this will have an ID of 1 because it's the first record. Then the course ID of 4 to match this row to this course. And then we'll have a data type, which is, what is that? Students learn. That's what we code that one. And then we have disabled is 0 because it's not disabled. Now, since we have multiple inputs here, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, and we don't know how many we can have, we can easily accommodate them by putting as many rows as we need to contain this data. So here we'll have row number 2, course ID still 4, and the data type is still students learn, and then disabled. But then we have a value here that we are omitting. So here the value is what will be different. Okay, so we can have value 1, and then we have a second value, value 2, etc., etc. So there's a value there, and then a data type. So when we add more information, like we add to this section, the only thing that will change, we just add more rows, just change the data type and its value. But the course ID remains the same because they belong to the same course, etc., etc. So let's see this in actual practice. And in order to save things, we need a model, because that makes things easier. But before we can even do that, let's see what's happening here. Let me come back to this. So what we have in our JavaScript is that if we go to, let me come back to, so this one is this is the admin controller, and I went down to the section where there's data type is equal to save, and then we have intended learners there. Okay, great. So this is where we'll do all the saving. Right now it just returns some JSON data, which is fine. Now, what I want to do is, let's see what we can return here. First of all, we already saw the return data previously, but what I want us to do here is this. If we come back to the inputs and I right click on an input here, you will notice that the name of the input is its data type, really. This one is prerequisites and _1 because it's the first item. If I inspect this one, you see that it's got the same name, prerequisites, but _2. So there's a system to this whole thing. And the same thing, if I inspect this one, I will see students learn _7. So all we need to do is look through the post variables and then check for anything that has this pattern, where there is some text, possibly a hyphen and some more text, and then an underscore and a number. So this will mean this is from a specific section, and then the section name can be the same name that we extract from here. So we can extract these keys or names and then use them in our array. So let's see how we can organize this data. So for a start, let's do a for each loop to loop through the post variable, right? So let's loop through all of it. And then in there's a key and there's a value, right? So what I want to do is that the key is really what I want here. So I want to create an array. I'll call this one metadata. Let's set it to an empty array to start with. And then here, what I'll do is I'm just going to say if preg match. So we'll use preg match because we can then use a regular expression in there. Okay. I have a course on regular expressions, though I didn't finish it because nobody seemed to want to watch. But hopefully I can finish that in future. But you can watch that to see some of the basics. So preg match, and here we have, let's see, we match A to Z characters, capital A to capital Z. That's okay. And then we match all of them by putting a plus. But then we may want to match a hyphen as well, so dash. We'll use a slash to escape it, so we put that dash there. And then we make sure that from the beginning, this should be at the start of the key. And then we put a $sign to the end. But then we need to put that underscore and a number, supposed number. So we put 0 to 9 like that. Any amount of numbers will be acceptable. Okay, so then here the subject is the key. So if this matches, then this is one of our culprits, which we need to add in metadata. Now, if you're unsure if your regular expression will work with what you're doing, just open a new file here, Control F to search, and paste your regex in there. Make sure you select here where it says use regular expressions. And then here you can type a sample of what you want. So as you can see, the moment I've done that, it's selected, so which means it was recognized. If I just type some gibberish like this, even with numbers, it doesn't work. But this one, even with a hyphen, underscore, another number, it still works. So these two have been recognized, but not this one. Now, if your text editor does not have regex, just go to regex101.com and it will open a regex builder for you. Let's try that. You see, regex101.com. Hopefully my internet today is fast enough to load this in real time. Okay, look at that. So you can have this and just put your regex in here, paste that, and then that's where you put your regex, and then you do some testing here. As you can see, it has recognized that, but not this one, not that one, not this one with numbers and letters, unless I do even with underscore, as long as there are numbers on the other side, that wasn't recognized, but this one will be. So as you can see, the regex is, and then it gives you a detailed explanation of what's happening, how your regex is working. It separates the two, this part on its own, this one, and gives you a detailed explanation. All right, so that's one more tool in your arsenal there. All right, so from this, let's see now what results we will get. So let's come back here, and from this preg_match key, if this is true, then let's add this item to this. So we're going to say meta, and I'm going to add the key to it, and then add to that. So this item and its key become an array item. Then we add to this array. So we're making it an array within an array. And then let's save the value like so. Okay. But then the key has an underscore and a number at the end. I don't want that, because that makes each key unique. So I want them to be grouped. So what I want to do is remove that underscore and a number that comes at the end of the key. So just say key is equal to, and then we'll use preg replace this time, just like preg_match, but this one, you get the same pattern, but then it's going to replace whatever data you want to, wait, the subject. Wait, there's something missing here. Oh, this is preg_match. So I want preg replace. All right. And then what are we replacing it with? An empty string. What's the subject? It's key itself. So we're just removing some parts of the key, which is the underscore and the number at the end. So to match that, we just get this underscore and this part here plus the $, and put that there, so that it matches at the end of the string, this pattern here. So replace that with nothing and then save. So once we are done with that, now we can echo out, or let's just say show data meta like this. Okay, so what I want to do now is first item, second item, and then put third item here, and then fourth item. Let's go to fifth item. Okay, so I want to see the result of this. Now, since we have an alert on the receiving end here, we should see some result right here. If I click, oh, okay, so we didn't even need the alert, it brings it right here. So as you can see now, this is what we get. We get students learn, and then we get an array. Now, because there were many inputs, and some of them were empty, this is why we're getting all of these empty ones as well. But you can see what we are doing here. We've grouped them successfully. So these ones that have students learn, this is their data type, are in one place because we removed those unique numbers at the end. This one also has this and an empty one. So let's try and get rid of the empty ones. So to do that, we can just check if the value is empty or not before we try to add. So we say if not empty, like this, and like so. So if it's not empty and it matches, then add it. So just like that, we'll get rid of the empty ones. And the problem is I cannot resend this data normally, so I have to reload the page. Okay, so I reload the page. Let's see, first item, and then let's do second. I'll leave it like that. Third, and then fourth. Let me just add an extra 2 here just to see that we won't have those. So if I click save, this is what I get now. You see first item, second, the empty ones are gone. So all we need to do now is save these bad boys to the database in our table right here. So in order to save, it's better to use a model. So let's just let's look for a very simple model that doesn't have much going on. This one has quite a bit, but maybe this one. Yeah, let's grab this one. So copy this guy, but you can copy any of these, doesn't matter. Create a new file. Let's save this. This one is called course_meta. That's what we'll call it, .php, save. Okay, so course meta model. So here, course_meta. What is the courses meta? That one is the table name, courses meta, right there. And then let's grab these columns and add them there. So back here, let's add these guys. Let's do that. Enter. Enter. And same thing here. Inverted comma, comma, enter. Okay, so those are the columns. Now, since we want to use these functions down here, the validate function, we can ignore it for now. We just needed the table name and the allowed columns, that's all. Okay, so with this in mind, we have a model that will use our table. So let's come back here and let's see, we need to insert here. And before inserting, we need to instantiate this, this model. So I'm just going to copy this part for the course and come down to the right place. Where is this? Right here. So don't put instantiations inside a for each loop. Never do that. So let's put that there before the loop. And then instead of course, we'll call it course meta. Just like here. Course meta. I hope that's the actual name of the, okay, good. Okay, so now that we have that, we can grab this course meta, and about here, we will do an insert. So in order to insert, first of all, we need to know that this is not empty. So let's grab this and say if not empty, not that guy, metadata. If that's not empty, then let's save. So course meta insert, and then we'll insert the metadata like that. Great, but no, we need to actually, no, we can't insert that. Okay, what we need to do is, let's come back here to see the results of this. So as you can see here, we have this as courses meta. What we need to do is loop through this. So I will loop through each one of these and then grab this as the data type, because these are the columns that we need to create. So this will be the data type, and then loop through inside these guys and grab this item as a value for each one of them, while maintaining this and we need an ID as well to insert for course ID. Right, so let's make that happen. So the first thing we would do, if this is not empty, let's do a for each loop as well. Again, this time it's for metadata. There is a key. So if we look at the keys here, they are important. This key is the data type, but then the value is a row. So it's an array that we can loop through. So let's loop through that. So I'll call this one rows. And then I'll just say data type, okay, is equal to whatever the key is at this time, okay. And then let's do another for each loop, because now we're looping at the rows, these items that are in here. Okay, so back here, we don't need the key for these ones, because as you can see, the key is just 0, 1, 0. We don't need that for anything. So let's remove this. And finally, we can get a value. So here, let me create an array and set it to be empty, just to be sure, in case I had used it previously. So first of all, I want the data type will be equal to data type that we have created above. Let's duplicate this a bit. The next thing we need is the course ID, course underscore ID. Now the course ID is taken from, if you look at where we are saving for the course landing page, we have this ID right there, which is the course ID, of course. So let's grab that and put it here. Then we need the value of the item, and value is right here, value, okay. Let's see what else we're missing from our table. So we have course ID, we have data type, we have value. Disabled will be 0. So we don't need to explicitly say that, but let's just add it. Why not? Okay, there we go. So with that in mind, then we can do an insert. So let me move this here. We insert through every item here. So metadata, nope. Let's insert with that array, like so. All right, so this is cool. If we do this, everything should be well and good. So let's try this out. So I'll come back here. Boom. Okay. Okay, so here we have first item, second item, and let's end there. Let's try here third item and fourth item. Let's even add some extras here just to be sure things work as intended. So let me save, and this is the result I see. Okay, cool. Let's go to the table. Let's see if anything was saved. And there we go. So things have been saved. And as you can see, in the correct way, course ID, data type. As you can see, there's one from here and 2 items from the students length section. And they're not disabled, and we have their values. So things have worked out very well. But the issue is we need to be able to, because if I click save here, it will add more rows here, which is not right. It's supposed to just edit the ones that are here, right? Okay, so I will see you in the next video where we do that.